Welcome, pool guys and gals, to the Let's Talk About Pools podcast, where your host, Lauren Broom, will take a splash into many topics in the pool industry to educate all aquatic professionals. Listen in, and you just might be surprised what you'll learn. So let's jump right in.
Welcome, everybody, today to the Let's Talk About Pools podcast. And on episode 45, we had a special roundtable episode featuring guest speakers Embree from Skimmer, Sai Reddy from Camereye, Ravi Kurani from Sutro, and Caron from Wave Drowning Detection Systems, where we talked about the technology of the pool world. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode, and I want to say thank you to our sponsors today, which are Skimmer and Viking Capital, for continuing education through the podcast to our listeners. Let's jump right in.
Skimmer is an app that's built for pool service companies, and it really does everything they need to run their businesses. We have tens of thousands of techs using our app every day in the pools, in the field, and being able to just simply swipe left, swipe right, scroll up and down, take photos. Everything is so easy, it can be done with one hand. We know how hard our clients are working every day, and so we feel it's our responsibility to make sure we deliver a top-notch product and a support team that's capable of pleasing and satisfying our customers.
You can literally pick up the phone and someone will answer. And that sounds very obvious, but it's not when you talk to tech companies. And it makes you feel like you have a voice and they listen and they actually respond to it.
When I first started, we were just pen and paper, putting door tags on. We actually tried a bunch of different apps. There seemed to always be something missing. We ran across Skimmer, and this one's by far been the most efficient, the cleanest, the easiest to work with.
I've looked into creating in-house ways of tracking and doing the same thing. It can be very costly. Skimmer allows you to have a customized experience because they listen to your feedback. It's like having a custom platform without the cost and labor involved in managing that.
So I was very impressed with the affordability of Skimmer, the benefits that we get in terms of maximizing route efficiency and being able to keep a record of all the chemicals used and pictures of all the pools all in one spot and information we can access immediately. It's just incredible.
The technician will do all these little clicks and say what they did and what chemicals they put in. They'll take a picture of the pool, and then Skimmer does this great report that gets emailed to the customer at the end, telling them what they did and how they did it, what chemicals they added, and customers absolutely love it.
For as long as I'm in business, I don't see myself ever doing business without using Skimmer. It's just the top of the line product to use within the market, and it just saves so much time while also being personalized to your company. Skimmer is a company that's going to keep your database and everything completely organized and in line for you.
One of our goals is to help our clients grow their companies, and we see every year, every day, we get feedback from our clients thanking us for allowing them to grow, allowing them to hire more folks, allowing them to make more money and put their kids through college, to have more time and more free time on the weekends. It's always a huge compliment when we hear our customers talk about how much they've been able to grow, how many folks they've been able to hire and employ thanks to the app.
Welcome, everybody, today to the Let's Talk About Pools podcast. And on my special episode today on technology of the pool world, I have Ravi Kurani with Sutro. Thank you for being here today, Ravi.
Thank you for having me, Lauren.
Caron with Wave Drowning Detection Systems. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you.
I have Sai Reddy with Camereye.
Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you for being here today, Sai. And Embree with Skimmer. Everybody knows Kevin if they've been to trade shows. And a lot of the people that are in this podcast have been at a lot of the pool trade shows. So you've probably met them. You've seen their technology. They've talked about it. If you've listened to my podcast, I've had them each individually on a podcast episode. So today's episode, we're bringing it all together and talking about and highlighting the great technology that we've had, great technology growth in different areas in the pool industry to make things healthier, safer, better for pool businesses to run, make their lives better, which could be healthier as well, because that some of the things that they would do on paper are done by technology now. So it gives them more time to have quality time with their family or whatever. So drowning prevention. It's great. Water chemistry testing. That's state of the art with Sutro in the pool. So that's what we're here to talk about today. And so welcome, guys. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let each of you kind of introduce yourselves, and I'll call your name out. So I'm going to go kind of in a clockwise motion here from my left, at least. So I'm going to go at Kevin Embree from Skimmer. Tell us a little bit about you and Skimmer and that kind of thing.
Yeah, thanks, Lauren. Thanks for having us. Thanks for getting us all together. These guys are great. I run into them. Well, I haven't run into Mark at the shows yet, but that just probably means he's busy fulfilling all his sales. He doesn't have time to walk around with Sai and Ravi and I, but I hope to see him in the future. I'm Kevin Embree. I run marketing and business development for Skimmer, and I'm also a Skimmer fanatic. I also like to say I'm the #1 customer advocate for Skimmer customers. My past, I worked for eBay and HomeAway and VRBO, and people are like, "What are you doing working for a pool service and repair software company?" And I tell them, I thought the same thing until I really dug in and got to know people in the industry, and people in this industry are amazing. But what Skimmer really does is makes people's lives better. It allows them to be more profitable, more efficient, right? Run their routes more effectively, and really know what's going on in their business, how profitable they are or how profitable they're not. That's the high level. And but when you look at Ravi with Sutro, the water being tested, we're always looking for things as well as Sai and Mark, right? We're in the backyard. Our customers are in the backyard. They can see, is this safe? Does this gate close? Right? Do they have the proper safety things? And from water testing, our customers are doing water testing all the time, right? Anything that can help them save time on a route and know when they're either before they get there or when they get there, what's happening, so they can evaluate everything else and get out, right? It's not about spending a lot of time at someone's pool. It's about doing the right thing and doing a professional job and getting to the next one. So that's why I'm excited about talking with these guys today. And the same thing with Sai and Mark with the safety is all we do is go into the backyard. But when no one's back there, something needs to be watching, right? And whether it's Mark's thing, that you put on the head even when there's parents around, because we all know they don't watch when they're having the parties, right? Or when there's 100 kids in a pool at a YMCA or something, or when no one's around and Sai's technology is there watching the pool constantly, looking for things that might identify. This is pretty exciting. It's like, because when you think about the pool industry, everyone loves the pool industry. Everyone in the pool industry is amazing, but we still have drownings. We've got to figure out a way to reduce that as much as possible. So thanks for having me on.
No problem. And what Skimmer does too is very important for pool service professionals. It saves them time, saves them money, keep up their inventory. So what you guys do over there is awesome as well. And we're going to highlight that during this podcast. So to my right is Sai Reddy with Camereye. Tell us a little bit about you and Camereye.
Yeah, thanks, Lauren. It was fun. It was fun talking to you last time on the podcast. I got a lot of people call from Florida and said, "Hey, we listen to you on the podcast, and super exciting. We want to learn more and all that." So you're doing an amazing job bringing all the new stuff out there. To the pool professionals out there. So yeah, thank you for having all of us here. My name is Sai Reddy. I will spell it out for you, SAI, and the reason I do it is because AI is in my name. That's what I say to everybody. So it's funny. I have the technology background. I had, like Kevin Kevin said, a lot of people know I have a PhD in AI. From UC San Diego. I started out in the industry doing AI for energy. I know complete disconnect. Something else. We sold AI software for renewable customers, mostly utilities. It's a lot of customers in California, Texas, Florida, Michigan, all across Nevada, mostly renewable customers. And water has always been my passion. It's being a swimmer. I'm a breaststroke swimmer, college swimmer, and always had that attraction for water. So people ask me, hey, what are you going to do after I exited my first company? We sold our first company to major utility. And I said, I'm going to pursue my passion in water. And what's the number one problem? I know there's so many other problems that I'm not aware of and got to know about. And when it came to the industry, like Sutro and, what Skimmer's doing. But what I knew before I joined the industry was water safety. So I told myself, how can I help? How can I bring my expertise in AI and my years and years of time in the water, swimming and doing labs and hearing about unfortunate stories to the industry and help out. So that's exactly what Camereye does. We are a camera system, camera AI system, hence Camereye, that is installed in the backyard. So it's a backyard experience, if you will. However, the focus is safety. I'm here in Charleston, South Carolina, doing the Master Pool Guild show, not very far from you, Lauren. And it's funny. Last night we had a great dinner, and people talk about $1 million pools. There are people here building $1 million pools in MPG. So there's all this fun stuff happening in the pool, but generally safety is an afterthought. Now people focus on that. So really, what we're doing with Camereye or camera is it gets installed in the backyard at the time of construction or at the time of service, especially with people with young kids, or if you have people around like your neighbors and whatnot, because most of the times drowning happens in times when it's least expected. It could be your neighbor's kids walking by, it could be a babysitter bringing kids, all sorts of things. So putting in a camera that's fixed, it's not a removable camera, it's a fixed camera, hardware camera that looks at the pool 24/7, and people get alerts on their phone and the Camereye app every time there's a person coming in or a pet person or a pet coming in the frame of the camera, or really what we call as a smart fence. And so people get alerted right away on the phone and on the device inside their home. And if the camera senses, the AI really senses someone in distress or near drowning in the pool, the alarms go off really loud at 90 decibels. So it's really an alert and alarm system that keeps people informed at all times. So that's really what Camereye is. Again, different technologies out here. I love everybody. I met Kevin, obviously Ravi at different shows. First time meeting Mark, but super excited. And thanks for having me.
So I don't know why videos switched around, but my next person that's going to be introduced, that's going to introduce themselves is Mark Caron with Wave Drowning Detection Systems. And I've seen one of your systems down here in a Florida pool now. So it was really cool to see. That was really cool to see. I saw it in person, the one over on the West Coast, I think.
Yeah. Okay, great. Cool.
Yep. We were over there, Stan, and went over to that pool and saw it. It was really cool.
Nice. Yeah. Well, great. Thank you. And thanks for having me on and for doing what you're doing for the industry and getting folks like us together. I think you're educating people. It's funny, Sai and I really aren't competitors. And even if we were direct competitors, I always tell my team, the biggest issue is awareness, right? Mm-hmm. Getting people aware of new solutions out there. And for what you're doing, Lauren, thank you for doing that. So
I just want to bring everybody together and really focus in on each of the things that we're all trying to correct. Like for you and Sai, it's drowning prevention or technology that can help people try to prevent that, because it's the leading cause of death of children ages 0 to 4.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so with a swimming pool in somebody's backyard, it's something waiting to say, hey, something's going to happen here. So I have a real passion for that drowning prevention piece.
Yeah, no, it's great. That's great. And pretty much everyone in aquatics does, right? Whether you're building pools or servicing them or teaching kids, whatever. It's obviously, it's a risk. One pool builder said, hey, every time I put in a pool in a person's backyard, I realize this could kill their child. And I take that very seriously, and I talk to them about it. And so anyway, so my background, a little bit like Sai, I've been applying what I've done for my entire career. So I basically I have a technology background. I've been in the technology industry my whole career, which is a pretty long time now. and most of it in wireless technology. So what Wave does is apply wireless technology to drowning prevention. And it was really predicated by my co-founder and I had similar events in different hometowns where there was a drowning at a town park with lots of lifeguards and counselors around the water. And frankly, we were somewhat ignorant to the prevalence of drowning, as most people are, and the how quickly and silently it happens, which I would say Hollywood did a great misservice to society by depicting drowning as splashing and waving and yelling out, which never happens, as you know. So we were intrigued by that, and he had some previous background in a sort of earlier generation company, and obviously a wireless technology background. So we spent a couple of years just really researching different ways to solve the problem and having a solution that can kind of work everywhere and be portable. And so that's what we came up with Wave. I have the thing here. I think as I think Kevin mentioned, it does involve a wearable that essentially enables us to measure facial submersion. So it's when people are obviously in the water and they're swimming. Even half the kids. I think one of the CDC stats is half the kids over 7 or 8 that drown actually know how to swim, right? So knowing how to swim doesn't make you drown proof for all kinds of different reasons. And obviously little ones are also at risk. And of course, I would say 3 times as many adults drown a year as kids. So it's not just kids, and that's where a lot of attention goes. But that essentially is what we do. We started on the commercial pool side. We launched our product right before COVID hit, which was interesting timing for selling to commercial pools, obviously. But we did get one big system installed and a bunch of orders that have subsequently been fulfilled as those pools have reopened. And we also have now a home pool product out as well, which is this little guy here, which just handles a lot less swimmers and a less range, but it's the same concept of measuring how long people are underwater. We also have this little thing we call a buddy tag, which just goes off within 5 seconds for non-swimmers. So if you have a toddler around the water when people are in the water and you want to know right away if they fall in the water, this just clips on to their bathing suit or the back of their shirt is where people typically put it, because kids they don't know it's there and they can't get it off. It's got a pretty strong magnetic clamp on it. So, as I mentioned, we started out on the commercial pool side. We had great, incredible feedback over the course of early 2019. We're doing a lot of development testing from, career aquatic directors, water safety, drowning prevention experts. So we really incorporated that into the commercial system to make it sort of as seamless as possible for their existing operations. And it's very lifeguard centric, we like to call it. The lifeguards wear these little vibrating bracelets, nothing to look at, so they keep their eyes in the water. But this kind of gives them advance notice when someone's been under longer, underwater, kind of at that first interval, often only 15 or 20 seconds. And then if it goes longer than that, we have a very loud alert that comes out of this thing and can alert all kind of remote devices, depending on how you want to set it up around the facility. So that's where we are. We're based in Connecticut, but we got folks. I'm switching places with Sai. I'm going to be in Southern California next week. So we're trying to get more stuff out there. We have a system going in Arizona soon, and we have Utah and Texas. So we're slowly expanding out west. So.
And it's too bad we didn't have something, either one of your systems. It was in South Florida. We recently had 3 deaths at one time, drowning deaths. It was a father trying to save his 2 young kids. I didn't get the full story. I don't know if they could swim or not or what, but obviously there wasn't any kind of technology there that alerted anybody else. I think the wife came home and found them all, they drowned in the pool. And I'm assuming he was trying to save the kids and he drowned along the way.
Yep.
So that, there wasn't anything there, I don't think, that, was to help. And I believe there was some bill just recently that in Florida, I thought with houses with pools being sold. I thought there was something moving through the state legislature that I saw that would require, if you sell a house, even if it's an old pool with a house, that you'd have to have like so many different monitoring things or alarms.
Yep. California enacted the California Safety Act, Pool Safety Act in 2018. Florida just enacted that in 2021, came into the House actually approved in 2022. So it's going to become a law in 2022.
Yeah,
so now Florida requires two bedrooms.
Yeah, it's going to be new construction, obviously, but then it'll be if you sell your house, no matter how old it is, then you've got to bring it up to code for that rule at that point. So that's a good way as houses are sold to try to, and you guys are options for that, for that monitoring for, drowning prevention. And that's what they're trying to do with that is they know that there's technology out there. And that's what we're trying to highlight here for obviously, Sai said people had listened and called him from the podcast. So hopefully there are listeners to this podcast that relate to one of the pieces of technology that is going to benefit them or help in some way. That's what the point of this podcast is, having you all here. And it's great to have you here. So Ravi Kurani, he's like Kevin, a little bit different from the group with his technology of the pool world. Tell us a little bit about you and Sutro, Ravi.
Yeah, thanks for having me back on, Lauren.
No problem.
Kind of a bit of a deja vu, like Kevin said. I've seen Kevin and Sai, I think like a week ago at the Long Beach show. So I sometimes see Kevin and Sai more than I see my partners. I'm not even at home more than half the time. But my name is Ravi Kurani. I'm the CEO and founder of Sutro. I have a little bit of a different story. So I was actually born in the swimming pool industry. Growing up, my dad had a chain of pool and spa supply stores in sunny California. And so I've done everything from testing your water as you come into the pool store, acid washes, installing pumps, running my own pool route, all the way to having my own pool store in Huntington Beach when I finally, graduated up the ranks. Kind of like Sai too, I do have a background in technology. I ended up, I have a degree in mechanical engineering and fluidics, and ended up working at NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratories, JPL, for a pretty short stint. All of that to say, I kind of got to thinking probably about, I would say 6 years ago, and I'm like, how do I take everything I used to do at my dad's pool store and shove it inside of a robot, right? That water test that we used to do was the biggest driver of how people actually measure what the chemistry and safety of their pool water is. And so what we've built is this device that's Sutro. It's about this big. This thing floats inside of a swimming pool. It connects up to a hub, and then we have an application that basically tells you what the chemistry of your pool is. And the fact that I'm actually from the industry leads me to build our business model a little bit differently. We're not here to, Silicon Valley disrupt the entire market and take over chemical sales and, push out the dealers. A big part of what we have built is an ecosystem that connects the pool store, pool service technicians, and pool builders back to their customers. So we don't call Sutro just this floating widget, this floating, device that's in the pool. It is more of a re-engagement mechanism. It is more of this ecosystem that we've built that kind of hopes to make the industry smarter, better, and faster. And so, yeah, that's what I do, and that's who I am.
And I love that like how you talk about it, because that's exactly what we're trying to do. Is we got the technology, but we're trying to work with the current industry and not work against it or remove anybody from that ecosystem, as we're calling it, because it will collapse. But we can add the technology into the ecosystem to make it work better. And that's what we're doing. And you're all representing different facets of the aquatic industry that the technology would benefit, as long as people don't fight against technology. Technology is going to keep moving forward. And it's either we work against it or we're going to work with it, and we work together. And that, I think we're better together than we are apart in a lot of ways. So
Lauren, it kind of makes me think of one comment about people look at our technology for commercial pools, and they say, oh, you're trying to get rid of lifeguards. And we say, absolutely not. First of all, we're not, this thing isn't jumping in the water and pulling someone out of the water. But more importantly, this is really a tool for lifeguards in that environment. And, how someone staffs their lifeguards before and after really is none of our business. But the whole idea here is to give lifeguards a tool to ensure they're capturing something long before it comes to drowning incident, right? Even just most of the alerts are just kids holding their breath or lap swimmers holding their breath longer than the pool wants them to. So we very much view it as empowering lifeguards to do a better job. And what's interesting, kind of an unforeseen result has been, it's actually helping pools attract lifeguards, because lifeguards are pretty young, they're pretty tech savvy people. They think it's very cool. The pool invested in this technology to make their jobs better. Their parents tend to be much more happy about them working at a pool that has this kind of technology. Mm-hmm. And in the end, it makes it a much more interesting job, right? They kind of, it's a game for them to sort of beat the clock, to know how long someone's been underwater. And, before this goes off. And so they've become much more engaged. And the lifeguards, the aquatic directors are noticing the lifeguards have become much more aware of how long people are underwater, which you could argue is one of the most important skills. So we take that argument of like, either you kind of get rid of lifeguards or you're making lifeguards lazy because they'll depend on this. And the actual result's been 180 degrees different, that this is really great for lifeguards, and it makes lifeguards a lot better and makes them enjoy their jobs a lot more, and they're much more engaged with it. So,
and I see the benefit. I see the benefits of each piece of technology and what the type of thought that you just had, Mark. And I think also, like with the lifeguards, sometimes it's hard to get a lifeguard to want to work somewhere because they know the liability of the job. Because if somebody drowns while they're on the lifeguard tower, but if they know that they've got this extra technology as a tool to help them, it reduces that angst and that liability thought in their head. But it's the same with Sai, where his might be in a backyard pool for homeowners. And yours certainly can work there as well. Sai's, you started in commercial first, and his has really been more residential and not commercial. So if we talk about your side there, and then wave drowning as well, it adds that extra layer of protection for homeowners, and that whole liability piece. And I think of the same way with Ravi and Sutro. You're giving that extra information that gets back to the cloud where somebody can get it on their water chemistry. They know if they have zero chlorine or whatever's going on. The pool store knows, what's going on when the customer comes in. You're not relying on water sample that somebody took in the morning, sat in their car all day, and bring it into the pool store. They're getting live right now. This is what the reading is in the pool. Skimmer, it's a whole different thing, but you're benefiting the business owners and giving them this ability to track chemicals, communicate with their customers, this whole piece that helps them run their business better. And also that liability side as well, because they can say that this is what we did while we were at the pool. So in that sense, all of you do that in a different way in different parts of the pool industry.
I wanted to take a quick intermission to say thank you to our other podcast sponsor, Viking Capital. So if you guys are looking for swimming pool financing, you're a pool builder or contractor, and you're looking for that financing for your customers, please check out Viking Capital. They've been an awesome supporter of education and of the pool industry, and I want to thank them for continuing to do that through the podcast.
Yeah, one piece around liability, Lauren, we see this a lot with actually new pool builds, right? So because in the last 2 years, there's been a ton of new pools that have gone in, that 30-day curing period of making sure that plaster, doesn't chip off, doesn't end up having bad things that happen to it. It all, leans on this water chemistry management. And usually pool builders will just give the homeowner like, hey, thanks for this $100,000, $400,000 pool. Good luck, right? Best of luck to you. Go ahead and figure out how to manage the chemistry, and kind of, like you said earlier, you might have a toddler at home too, right? Here's your chemistry. Now you have this big liability in your backyard that you need to manage. And then I'm also worried because my kids are out there. And so, how do you create this kind of virtual fence like kind of Sai's company does? And then, after that, from a liability perspective of now I have this investment that I've made in my pool, how do I continue to make sure that it doesn't go green is kind of where, Kevin comes into place of how do I go ahead and create this full stack approach from the day that I build my pool to understanding water chemistry, to making sure that my family's safe, to actually then treating it and having somebody like Skimmer actually manage what the water chemistry is. But you hit the nail on the head with liability there, because it is a huge point.
And Mark fits in greatly into that. If we talk about Parks and Rec side, YMCA's, the big part right now is trying to even get and employ lifeguards. Pay is an issue, trying to compete with other. I have a whole episode coming out on employment and the issues that they're dealing with. Parks and Rec struggle in a totally different way than the pool industry does. They're kind of stuck to salaries that are stuck in like government world. And so they can't just, oh, I can raise my price. As a business, you can raise what you're going to pay an employee, even if it hurts you. You're not controlled. So it's hard for them to employ, but then the whole liability piece of then that person, maybe 16 years old, they're scared to be a lifeguard because they've got other people's kids' lives or adult lives in their hands without added tools. If they miss one thing, it's a big deal. So if they come into a job and interview and they've got something like at the commercial pool, like wave drowning detection systems, they've got the bracelet, it helps give them more ability to know what's going on. And it's easier to hire people, I think, knowing that you've got that technology there. So, I mean, you're all in a different realm in different ways. And we could look at cut the pie in different ways and you're all different, but it's all the same. You know,
so one comment, Lauren, on technology. This is kind of interesting. Again, I'm new to the pool industry. So just, probably around 2019 is when I started. And, very recently I was talking to a builder, very, high-end builder, thousands of pools every year. And I was talking to the president of the company, and he goes, if you came to the industry 3, 4, 5 years ago, people would not want to put a camera in the backyard because of privacy. Second, builders especially didn't want to talk about liability. I know we're talking about liability, especially on the drowning side. But now times have changed so much. With the whole COVID thing, people comfortable with the Zoom platform. Like we all having all our calls almost every day on Zoom, and now people are not shy on getting in front of video or really trying to embrace this whole video camera thing. So the whole COVID times have changed the way the pool industry has embraced cameras, first thing. And second, technology in general, not just cameras, but technology in general. And not only that, now you see like a lot of organizations, even manufacturers, top manufacturers in this industry, actually talking about water safety. PHTA is coming with Step Into Swim initiatives, and Fluidra is one of the biggest sponsors. Pentair always talks about, water safety in a different form. So I think the times have changed, let's say 5 years ago when I was not in the industry versus now, where everybody in this industry, pool builders, service, retail, we had some great retail folks at the Long Beach show come and talk about safety, and manufacturers, which is very important, are embracing safety and are actually looking at innovative ways to handle it. Be it water chemistry, be it safety in the water, like drowning or distress or whatever we call it. So yeah, I think times have changed. And actually, Kevin, I did hear there was one guy, service guy, he opened the Skimmer app and he was showing me all his service, like how he does all his service people. So, and this guy, believe me, like 5 years ago, I'm sure he would not even download an app on his phone. And now he has all our apps on his phone. So I think times are changing, and I'm really, really happy and excited to see the pool industry adapting to it.
It really I totally agree with you that there's been that switch in the last 2-3 years, how the industry is looking at things. Pool builders are more interested in including technology with their packages when they're building, understanding that they take an integral part in drowning prevention by mentioning these different technology pieces to their homeowner customers that are building pools, be it that they want to use wave drowning. But Ravi, you hit a good one with the National Placer Council, because I interviewed the technical director over there last week, And that first 30 days, I mean, you could almost the pool builder could almost throw Sutro into that pool the first 28, 30 days to have all that water chemistry put up over to the cloud for themselves to prove the water chemistry was being maintained by, they usually have a startup pool service company that will do their startups for them. And so it could be that
many times they don't even have anybody, right? That's also the other problem is they'll just give the keys to the homeowner.
Right. So the homeowner may try to claim, and yes, you do the whole picture taking and the whole 9 yards with the customer, have them sign things, but you could have that added piece of that pool builder uses something like your product floating in the first 30 days as another level of proof for liability that I maintain the water chemistry. You still have your manual test that you're going out and doing, but then you've got the every increment test of how often per day that's testing and sending it to the cloud, and you got an electronic record it wasn't my startup water chemistry that caused that. It may be something from the build or whatever, but that's another added bonus that I was thinking of that when you mentioned that. So
exactly. And I think the kind of coolest part about all of our technologies is you do end up getting that element of storage, right? Like you just said, where you can take the data and you can keep it and then you can access it later. And that's kind of really important information, both from like the pool route side, all the way to drowning prevention, all the way to chemistry. Of before, everything was very reactive, right? You were going out there, you were taking a test, you had a piece of paper, you were keeping that in your office. Now with the kind of ability through having smartphones, being able to collect that data and then more importantly, store it, I think you open up an entirely new world of how we can actually access and massage that data versus something that was really inaccessible. And so, yeah, I think that's just another value from it too.
Right. And you can even integrate different technologies, because I think we talked about something in that general sense of like Sutro collecting water info, water chemistry. And if it goes into like a Skimmer app or whatever pool service software, and we have Skimmer on, so we're going to say Skimmer, and then their route management, then you now prioritize that day. Maybe you have to go to this pool because Sutro says you have a 0 chlorine, which is a public health outbreak type deal. You have no chlorine, that's a big deal. Or your pH is skyrocket high, or your alkalinity is really, things that alert within the pool route system of Skimmer that integrates between Sutro and that's integrating the two technologies there to work together. And then you would prioritize a pool route based on the pools that are water chemistry needs versus this is just the order of the pools on the route.
I've been trying to get Kevin on a phone call to run this integration. So maybe you can help me out on this call to make sure we can get this inked.
Well, I could see the pauses of this just coming from the commercial public pool world. That if we had stuff like this integrating, they would be able to prioritize going to the public pool that had the 0 chlorine or the pH that was off before the flippin' health inspector showed up to close the pool. Take technology and know what's going on before they know what's going on, because they always have the darnest idea to show up when there's no chlorine, and close that pool. Because routes are managed based on the geographic way of going instead of actually integrating the water chemistry piece into it and prioritize based on that need. Private pools, maybe not because they're not regulated, but public pools, certainly, because you've got a health agency, and that whole integration there would be like change the whole how public pools are done. And you might have that liability that people think of that they don't want to do public pools. There's not a lot of pool service companies that want to do public pools. And it's again, kind of like Mark talking about with lifeguards and the liability. And that makes it a little bit harder to employ people that want to come and work there. It's the same thing with pool service companies. I hear it all the time. I don't have a lot of choices of companies that want to come out and do our public pool. And I think it's the liability and everything else. But if there was technology that helped pool companies actually start doing a better job by prioritizing where they were going, that's a whole new world for even the public pool side. So it's like, God, we could go forever here on technology and how can it better public pools, private pools, the homeowners, it's great.
Yeah. Hey, one thing I wanted to, I'm excited to be on the call today with Sai and Mark, as well as Ravi, but from a drowning prevention, in life, we don't like awareness of things that make us uncomfortable, right? Mm-hmm. We don't want to talk about drowning. No one wants to talk about drowning. I have 4 kids and we had a pool, right? And I had, a couple dogs and, there's a lot going on at our house all the time, right? Having a detection, I would have wanted the camera and, the thing on the head. I know one of my kids would have pulled it off, right? You just know my kids' personalities. They would just be like, Dad wants me to wear this. I'm not wearing it, right? So he pulls one of those off. I like the little magnet thing that Mark showed. You put it on the back of their shirt when they're little. They forget about it in 2 seconds, right? And they don't even notice it. And so those type of things are amazing. When I worked at eBay, we used a model. We were looking for behavior that we didn't want, that was not positive. And we used a prevention, detection, mitigation model, right? And that's what this is if you think about what we all are doing on the call today is from a prevention standpoint, Skimmer's customers are in the backyard, right? They can see that there are things here that don't look right. This gate, like I said before, this gate doesn't work, right? Or something is going on that doesn't look normal. They can bring that up or they can not bring that up, right? I've met with customers that say they service pools, and I've met with our customers that say we love on pools. And the people that say they love on pools will tell their customers this isn't safe, right? And other companies think about, I don't really want to tell my customer that they have a problem, safety issue, right? And we've got to change that and make it something positive. But then you've got to have something in the backyard as well that does detection, right? You need a camera that's watching to see something going near that pool. And is it a person or pet, with Camereye. But at the end of the day, Camereye is not going to help you when you have 30 kids in your pool and there's 40 parents surrounding it, right? That camera's going to be going, I don't know what's going on in there. And that's when you need something like Mark's product, right? A wave detection system, which is you want to stay aware of the pool, but it's nice to have someone on your shoulder going, there's something going on over here, or someone's been under the water longer than normal, right? And then you can at least go over and go, hey, come on, get up, or say to a brother, don't hold him under the water, stuff like that happens, right? And it's fun and everyone's enjoying it until, the brother pushes them underwater, turns the other way, and they didn't realize that they knocked their head on the wall or something, and something very quickly goes negative. Yeah. And so it's that prevention, detection, mitigation. So where's the mitigation? The mitigation is alarms start going off, right? That something is not right. And someone has not responded to something happening. And I think that's what the technology brings. And it's just like everything in life. You can't say, oh, wow, we finally have this. Everything's going to change. It's all good. It's the little things that we stack that really create the entire solution, right? I've actually worked with the YMCA of Austin and a lot of YMCAs around the country. And I saw an article of the YMCA of Austin using Mark's technology with kids like at a camp. Can you imagine a pool full of hundreds of kids? It doesn't matter how many lifeguards you have, right? You need something that's giving you a little assist on what might be happening or what might be an outlier that's occurring. And it's not about making lifeguards lazy. I agree with Mark. It makes
empowering them. It's empowering them.
That's right. Yeah. Kids today are becoming smarter and saying, I don't want the liability of someone drowning, but you give them some technology assist that's something that's vibrating, and it makes them scan a little bit more intently at that moment.
Well,
right?
Parents have this thing now called a cell phone in their hands. So even in a private school, they're sitting there. The biggest distraction is a cell phone. So with wave drowning, it gives that loud alarm that's going to be like, oh, get off my phone, or you've got Sai's thing that works with an app on the phone. So they're on their phone distracted anyway. And now that gives them something on their phone. So that happens at public pools. It happens at the private pool in the backyard. We're all distracted with these pocket computers that we have, social media and everything else. But want to add in Ravi's whole thing with water chemistry testing. It may not be about death like drowning is, which that's the big deal here with the two technologies we're talking about here. But since I come from a public health background, he's testing water chemistry, and some of them are quite important for recreational water illnesses. And you can have large outbreaks in a swimming pool, especially if there's a big pool party and they didn't have any chlorine, and people can die if they're elderly and they've got other stuff going on. So you can't downgrade that nobody could die from a recreational water illness either.
But that is a good point. When I had a pool and my 4 kids, I told my pool guy, hey, I want my pool to look like the Caribbean. I want it to be clear and sparkling. And now that I've been in the pool industry, I realize clear, sparkling water doesn't mean it's necessarily safe.
Nope.
And so knowing that you're way off on your chemistry, right, is an indicator to say, why is that way off? The pool looks amazing, right? And you start to get a better appreciation of that, especially when you're letting your kids and your dog swim in it, right?
Yep.
You don't want anyone to get sick. And so it's really important. But hey, one thing I wanted to say is we at Skimmer, we work with an organization called Collins Hope out of Austin. And it's related to drowning. And we're very proud to do that. And we're doing some ads with them and the YMCA of Austin. And I think one of the things that YMCA of Austin's promoting in that ad is Mark's technology and the use of that technology in their camps. And I'd like to take this opportunity to say, to Sai and Mark, is we should figure out a way to work closer together with Collins Hope and other organizations like that, because even though it's uncomfortable, we're part of that stack. We're part of that prevention, detection, mitigation stack, and we all have a small amount of responsibility that we can take that actually creates a very large amount of a decrease in potential deaths just by trying to convince one more person, one more company, one more, parent that this is something you need to be aware of, right? It is important that the gate closes properly.
Yes. Right. So can't agree more. So I guess what we call this in the whole drowning prevention circles, Kevin, is we call them layers of safety, because you could not say be it Camereye or be it wave detection or any alarm out there. You cannot, as a homeowner, as a pool owner with kids, or any with pool in general, you cannot say I'm going to put one system in place and forget about it. It's all about stacking layers. So if you have kids who can't swim, toddlers, we always say, we talk about ABC, adult supervision. You cannot, regardless of what you have out there, you always got to keep your eyes on the kids, especially the little ones. B barriers, different layers, layers of safety or layers of barriers. You have a gate, safety, safety. You want to make sure the gate self-latching, self-closing, it's closed all the time. You have a nice barrier where kids can't climb around the fence. And then you have alarms out there. Alarms have been tested and approved by the state or county law, which, by the way, Camereye is approved in 33 states. We'll replace all the door alarms and all this stuff out there in 33 different states. And then we say, classes, swim lessons. I know there's huge efforts going into like Step Into Swim initiative and so ISR initiatives. And I know, Lauren, you also do some stuff with this CPO organization. So ABC of water safety is the key. And as a matter of fact, if you ever get a Camereye box, you'll see that you open it, you will see all this information from NDPA. We're pretty close partners with NDPA, National Drowning Prevention Alliance. You'll see a nice little, card, water watcher card is what they call it, where they want people, if there's a party in the backyard or anything happening, they want to have an assigned water watcher at all times who's wearing that thing on them, so that they can take responsibility of what's happening. So regardless, technology helps you to do the job better, like Mark said. Right. But human supervision cannot be replaced.
And I think that's true. And all the technology is there to assist an employee or a person, but it can't really work standalone on its own. If it's drowning prevention, using technology, it's there to assist. Ravi's thing is there to give us more information. Sutro is there to give us more information, but we still want manual testing as well. And you get validation from Sutro or you're getting validation of your manual test. But I think that you still need to have the pool service professional still doing their normal thing. And we're adding in that technology to make it great, make it better, make it safer is my thing. And Skimmer's the same way. You're there, it just makes their job so much easier to be able to get it done properly. If they have more time because they're not worried about all these papers, they're going to spend more time at the pool doing what they're supposed to do correctly and take care of the pool instead of being a splash and dash because they are thinking all the stuff I have to do. Now, if it's simplified because of technology, they can actually spend more time at the pool and taking care of it properly. So I think that across the board, you could look at it in every which way, how it's so helpful with the technology. But again, you still have to have somebody there, somebody using Skimmer. If they purchase it, but they don't use it right, it's not going to help them. And it's the same with all the other technology pieces. Is they've got to commit to it, use it, and it'll help them as long as they allow it to help them, but never think it's a standalone thing, Yeah,
the other day I saw on LinkedIn, and I think I shared it to Ravi, a post from, one of the big pool service companies saying a dog getting in the water is equivalent to 100 people swimming in the water in terms of water chemistry and the cleanliness of the water. So it's interesting, right? I mean, having things out there, like a dog swims for maybe like 20 minutes, you may think that, hey, the water still looks good and there's hair and all that, which you can't see. But, now you're getting into the skimmer, this actual skimmer of the pool. And then you see all the dog hair being collected and all that. So with Camereye, this is something new with Camereye. We do detect dogs and cats in the water. So when the dog gets in the water, cat gets in the water, people get an alert right away. And actually, people would know how long the dog was in the water. So in a way, we're kind of hoping, solve water chemistry in an indirect way. I'd like to hear from Ravi.
Yeah, like I didn't know my dog was getting in the water all day, 3 times a day, taking a long swim. Like I want his life.
You never know. Sometimes it's unintentional. There was one time I was working at the county health department and I got a call about somebody was in the fitness center at the HOA and they said, you got to come out here. There's a golden retriever swimming in our public pool. I don't think he's supposed to be in there. And I'm like, okay, did a homeowner bring it in or something? No, he just came in right in. I go, how? There's a gap in their entrance gate. Like there were the vertical members missing. So by the time I got there, like 2-3 hours later, the dog had finished his swim. I guess he had enough and he was gone. But I got to this gate and I could walk right. I had to lean down, but I was able to go right through it. So if a dog can get in there, a child can get in there. And there's a playground right there next to, they tend to do that in homeowners associations and apartment complexes where the clubhouse is there. You've got a public pool and then they've got the playground right there. But they don't pay attention to barriers or anything else. And it's sad, all these layers of protection,
It's funny you're talking about pets. We actually have some customers with the home pools they have a little carabiner that can attach to the collar.
Cool. I was going to ask.
Because they're worried about their pets drowning. If a dog doesn't know how to get out of the pool, they can drown, right? They can swim around for an hour, 5 hours, and eventually drown. And some dogs just can't swim. So we actually have attaching.
I was going to ask if you had wearables for like the dog or cat, if people really let them out in their pool area or whatever. But they know that like they don't know how to swim or something. Some dogs don't know how to swim.
It's all the same principle. You don't want them underwater too long.
Yeah. We have a customer in Scottsdale, Arizona. He's a funny guy. He has a dog. He has like multiple dogs. One dog is a 3-legged dog. He's missing one leg. And he doesn't know how to swim. So this guy always sends us videos of the dog going by the water and staying and watching. There's like some floaties in the water. The dog watches for like a few seconds and then he goes back. So this guy looks at it in the video. He's like, please don't go in the water. Please don't go in the water. Every time he sees the dog. And then the nice thing about the app is you can actually record all these videos. So he actually sends it to our team. Just to share with us what he's saying. So it's all exciting stuff. But really, I guess what it ends up to be is the IoT, is the connection to your backyard. I mean, you need to be connected. There's all sorts of things inside IoT inside the home. Like there's Alexa, there's Google Nest, all sorts of stuff. I feel like the backyard is a low-hanging fruit and is relatively unexplored. And staying connected to the backyard, which is exactly what we're all doing here, is very, very important. And I really like how the industry is embracing it.
I totally agree. So you guys have anything, I'm going to go around and just anything you want to add to this discussion before we're done. I'm going to start with Ravi from Sutro. Do you have anything you want to add to end our conversation?
No, I was just super grateful to be on this panel with these amazing gentlemen, and obviously your kind of amazing show, Lauren. So thank you for having me on. Just to all the listeners out there, as kind of Sai said, I think embracing technology will be the future. And 2022 is going to be a crazy year with everything that we've seen in the last 2 years. So let's all kind of be prepared together, right? Let's kind of help each other out to figure out how do we move forward. But yeah, that's what I would say. Thank you for having me on the show.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Mark, do you have any last thoughts or ideas for the listener?
I would end with a call to action for the industry. The sad truth is there's been an incredible amount of effort on awareness and laws we're passing over the years, but the drowning rate has not gone down. We've been stuck at 4,000 fatal drownings approximately per year for decades, right? And it's the only form of major form of accidental death that has not declined. Others have declined rapidly, all because of technology, pretty much. So it's just a call to action. We can't be complacent and just assume if we do just a little better awareness or pass this one more law, this is going to really make a difference. I think in nowadays age, if you're not applying technology to help save people's lives, you're not doing your job, frankly. So I know that sounds self-serving, but I think we have to make a difference as an industry to reduce drowning. So people have to be open to it.
Thank you so much. And I totally agree with that, Mark. Kevin with Skimmer, what are your final thoughts today from the panel?
In relationship to drowning awareness and prevention, I think we can do more. We've been talking to our customers, and from a product standpoint, when our customers service a pool, as soon as they finish that pool in Skimmer, an email is sent to that customer. And I think we can do something in the footer and enable our customers, our pool service and repair companies, to add something to the footer of that email that raises a little bit of awareness in just a small way and says, hey, here's some technology available for your pool, right? Or whatever we promote, do something to where they feel like, that's good. I'm going to do that. I'm going to add that to the footer of my service emails and help raise awareness. As well as, all the other different things that you can put in there. I mean, one thing we've talked about is adding a check to the default. We give them a default service checklist that they can start with, and then they can customize it the way they want, is to add some safety checklist items into that checklist. They can delete them, but at least we raise awareness of this. This could be a good idea for someone to just do one check, check the gate, check this. Any issues, swipe that and put it, and the message in there would say to the homeowner, hey, this may be something you need to look at from a safety perspective. As Sai and Mark are saying, it's all about those layers, right? And every layer we can add, everything we can stack can help prevent that. I think the final thing is, our customers are in the backyard. We've got a customer who's created an app called Inspector Dottie. It's new, and it's about inspections, right? And you go do it, like when you're buying a home, you get the pool inspected. Well, part of that is also related to safety. And that's one of the goals of, his name is Stephen Little with Claro Pools. And so, people and he runs a very large pool service and repair company. And, when you really get good at something and you really dial it in, right, and you're super profitable and your customers love you, you want to do more. And what he found was these pools need to be safer, right? And when you go inspect a pool, people are shocked at what they see. When a home is changing hands, and you see the inspection report, you need to fix that gate and this. Oh, but by the way, there's a huge gap that you can get through the fence to get into the pool. I mean, all those kind of things that we get used to, right? You know, when you sell your home, you go, well, I should have gotten that fixed before I decided to sell my home. Why did I live with that for 2 years? And then, you know, call some handyman over and he goes, oh, it'll take 5 minutes. Like, what? Right? And it's those things that you've got to raise awareness. You've got to realize that it's not the things within your control. It's the things out of your control. It's, you know, Camereye. It's what's happening when you're not there or when you're not even paying attention and no one would expect you to be paying attention, right? What's happening near your pool? That's amazing. But I think a lot of those drownings happen when the pool's full, you know, and that's where Mark's technology comes into play is how overwhelming. And so I think this is beautiful. I think, you know, Ravi and I, as far as, you know, integrating those readings into Skimmer so customers can just walk up and that is actually just, you know, uploaded into Skimmer to where they don't have to enter that in and then they can just do any other tests they might want to do as well. All those things, when you make the job of the service tech more efficient and easier and they can be more productive, they will pay attention to the safety things if you ask them to. Because they have time and they're not overwhelmed. And I think that's what's part of that missing in that layers. They just don't feel like they have time. They don't want to annoy the customer. I'm just going to get in and get out, right? And I think if we, with Ravi's technology and other technologies, to where they can come in and really evaluate what's happening, that's when they really provide the most professional service to their customers. That really makes the biggest difference, especially if it saves one of their customers' children.
And pool service techs are in a lot of our pools where drownings happen in the backyard pools. So if they can integrate putting something to alert homeowners in a skimmer, just basic stuff, then that's great. Integrating water chemistry, that's another great thing. That's just my public health side. I love that as well. But integration with technologies so that we're working together instead of against each other and making, like you said, there's so much time and they tend to do the splash and dash or whatever you want to call it, where they're in and out quick because there's so much time, the old way of doing things, that if we are able to save time in other ways, or they can look at those safety checks and, like you said, help try to do extra stuff to bring down what Mark said, those drowning numbers have stayed the same. If we can add more eyes looking at safety factors, like Kevin said, we would maybe we could see a drop in drowning numbers, because that pool service tech may go, hey, this gate isn't closing, or they may see like there's a dog door that goes out from the house to the pool and a toddler can fit through that. You know, thinking of different things that they may see that are obvious routes to the pool or whatever, that are kind of blinking light of danger, you know, that kind of thing. So thank you very much, Kevin. That was all awesome. Final thoughts. And then Sai, what are your final thoughts as we end today with the panel?
Yeah, thanks, Lauren. Thanks for making this happen. I met all these guys individually because I didn't get beer with them and talk about fun stuff. But actually focusing on the technology aspect in the industry is amazing. And thanks for bringing this in front of all the audience. I can't agree more with Mark. The numbers have stayed, although there are different laws that have come in. And the reason which we believe that is happening, there's several reasons, but the top reason that's happening is people, when there's a law that comes into play, people go and purchase all these cheap alarms just to meet the code, to pass inspection. I know Kevin was talking about Inspection Dottie. Steve Little's company. We met Steve in Long Beach last week. Amazing guy, amazing company. Nice idea with this safety inspection stuff. I think when people do that just to meet the code, and because not really that they care about safety, once the inspector leaves, they take all these alarms or whatever stuff and put a fence, temporarily and take it out, and then the problem remains. So really, as a pool service tech, who's show to the customers that they're an expert in this field and research about things out there that are approved to the code, and also robust, where customers actually get other value. Obviously, safety is number one. Safety, the product should be able to work for safety reasons, very, very robustly, but also have other value to the homeowners. so that they don't just take it and throw it out the door. So, being enabling that kind of new technology out there, I think is very, very important. But yeah, I love all these products like Sutro. Every time I go to conferences, I make it a point to hold that Sutro device and walk around for a little bit. I love it. And Skimmer, we see Skimmer guys all the time. So in general, I think it's super exciting to be in this time in the technology where it's booming. This industry is booming and the technology in the industry is booming. And I feel really grateful to be here. So thank you all for making this happen.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's just been great talking about all this great technology, and I don't know, this turned out way better than I thought it was going to be. The integration. Oh my God, it's so exciting. This episode is just so much better than I even had in my head it was going to be, bringing you all together at one time, and you're all like, it's just great. Thank you so much.
I think it's the star power of Ravi. I'm gonna have to. He really brings a lot. I need to get to know him better.
Thank you all for being on this special episode today. It was awesome to have you all on today.
Thanks, Lauren.
Thanks, Lauren.
Guys.
Lauren.
Thanks for diving in today with the Let's Talk About Pools podcast. Be sure to follow us on our YouTube channel or our Facebook page. And feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts so more aquatic professionals like you can learn about the show. We appreciate it, and we'll catch you in the next episode of the Let's Talk About Pools podcast.